Hey everybody, it's Greg again. It's another edition of the Unbreakable podcast. It is Thursday, February 13th. Listen, tomorrow's Valentine's Day. And I had to play some sort of romantic song. You thought I was going to play like a sappy ballad? And oh, this is Robert Pollard from the 80s. Remember Robert Pollard? And it's one of my favorite songs, one of my favorite rock songs. The doctor, give me the news, I got back it is loving you. Okay, well, anyway, this is going to be a Valentine's Day show, dedicated to Valentine's Day. And the reason is because tomorrow I'm not going to be one, because we're all going to be either at the parade, the Eagles parade, or we're going to be watching the Eagles parade on TV. That's just the way it is. So I'll be back again on Saturday, but don't forget, tomorrow is Valentine's Day, so do something special for your significant other. And that includes your mother. If you have a mom that's still around, be grateful and do something for her. Buy her candy, buy her flowers, get her a card, whatever. Give me the news. I got back. Start loving you. Do something for your mom. When my mom was alive, I used to give her like a box of candy. Never did just for Valentine's Day. Box of candy and $100 bill so she could go to bingo. Hey, that was what she liked to do. She was a bingo lady. I made my own playlist of favorite romantic ballads. And it goes on for 4 hours because I have a lot of favorite romantic songs. And I didn't know which one to pick. So I said, well, you know what? Instead of doing something really sappy, I'm going to do the Robert Pollard. Robert Pollard was an icon for the 80s. He died when he was only young. He was only 55 years old. He had a heart attack. He was in a hotel in Paris. And he always appeared on these videos with these women with the bright red lipsticks, these really thin model ladies, lady, like Jerry Lewis, lady. But he was an icon. Give me the news of that. Back is loving you. No girls caught up in. I gotta do the ending. Bad case loving you. Anyway, he was in these videos, and he was with Power Station. You remember Power Station? And he did a lot. He had a lot of great songs in the 80s. And he's a forgotten. It seems like he's a forgotten man, you know. Robert Palmer. He was a suave, debonair, good-looking guy, with always wearing a suit and tie, like sort of 80-ish wardrobe. And anyway, so that's our Robert Palmer. Hey, before we talk something else, I'm taking the Eagles break today because tomorrow is the parade. So I'm out of my Eagles gear. I'm really happy to be Phillies because yesterday was the first day of spring trading. The boys are back in Clearwater, Florida, getting ready for the season. And it's good to be wearing red. Not only for the Phillies, but because tomorrow is Valentine's Day. Now, I looked at the odds. And, I had success with the Eagles this year. So I said, I really think the Phillies are going to win the World Series. And here's the reason I said, Eagles won the Super Bowl as one. Eagles were similar. They were right there, but couldn't get in the cup. They needed a few extra players, like Saquon Barkley, to push the road. Phillies are the same way. And right there, they won the National League East last year. They can't get over the hump. The big problem is the Phillies don't want to improve their team this offseason to get to the Olympic. Now, there's still ways to go until the season starts. And they could make some additions during the season. But I do think they have a solid team. I worry about their bullpen, and I worry about their offense. They still strike out too much, but we'll talk Phillies, we'll talk baseball as time goes on. But I really, really believe, as I had this strong feeling in my heart of hearts, that the Eagles were going to win the Super Bowl this year. Remember, I told you I put a bet on the Eagles last August 31st. Daddy, that the Eagles were going to win the Super Bowl, and damned if they did it. Damn. I think the Phillies are going to win the World Series. I think it's going to be a Philadelphia year. The Sixers stink, but then the Flyers aren't ready yet. But Eagles Super Bowl, Phillies World Series. You heard it here first. So that's why I'm wearing red. But I'm wearing red really because tomorrow's Valentine's Day. And I decided today to do a movie classic of the week. We haven't done a movie classic in a week for a while because we've been talking Eagles and NFL playoffs for a little bit. Now it's time to do a movie classic in a week. And this one you're going to love because I know it's a beloved film and it's sort of based on Valentine's Day. It's one of the greatest romantic classic movies of all time. It's up there on the list. And it is, I have it in my collection, Sleepless in Seattle. That's right, 1993. There it is. That's how long ago this movie came out. Can you believe that? We're talking 32 years ago. Crikey. Sleepless in Seattle with the great Tom Hanks and the equally great Meg Ryan. Now we're going to talk about this movie a little bit here. And even though I got my eyes fixed, as you know, I got to wear reading glasses. This is just a cheap pair that we got over the counter. I'm going to get my permanent reading glasses next month when I go back to the eye doc. And he whatever, he gives me a pair or whatever. Doesn't give me, I got to buy it, but you know what I'm saying. Okay, so we'll put these bad boys on. And because I got a little info for you, I did a little research, spared no expense, about Sleepless in Seattle. Well, it did come out in 1993. And Nora Ephron was the director, and she was one of the main writers. And Nora Ephron, you know her. She did When Harry Met Sally. She did later on. Then she did You Got Mail. You've Got Mail with Hanks and Ryan again. And she was doing this very New Yorkish writer who did a lot of I don't know, quirky characters, snarky characters. I don't know how to describe them. She was very funny though. And this movie had a very interesting history about it. And here it is. It's based on a movie called An Affair to Remember, way back when in the 40s. Cary Grant, remember Cary Grant? Jody. And it's really about, I'll tell you the plot, in case you haven't seen it. It's about this widower, Tom Hanks and his little son, Jonah. And his wife died from cancer. They moved to Seattle to get away from everything. In Seattle, on a radio program, Christmas Eve, the son calls in because the father is really depressed and he's lonely, which is understandable. Son calls into a radio station, talks to this doctor who's a psychologist. What can I do to get my dad feeling better? I'm trying to hook my dad up with another girl, blah, blah, blah. Well, as Tom Hanks gets on the line and starts talking to this doctor, way across the country in Baltimore, Meg Ryan is driving. She's engaged, by the way. She's engaged. She's driving Christmas Eve to her future in-laws' place to celebrate Christmas Eve. And she has the radio on, and she is listening to this program. Just so happened, it's magic. She's turning the dial, listening to music, and things are too, blah, 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 blah. But she stops at this station, and she stops and she hears Tom Hanks pouring his heart out to this doctor about how things just aren't the same anymore since his wife passed away. While Meg Ryan is very sentimental, hopeless romantic, she starts tearing up. And she can't stop thinking about this guy. Even though she's engaged, she can't stop thinking about this guy. And when she gets back to work after the holidays, they say, "Did you hear that guy on the radio?" What is? She said, "Yeah, I heard him." And turns out that like every single woman in America, it's a married woman too, are writing letters to this guy, but addressed to this doctor who forwards the letters on to Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks' character. Anyway, to make a long story short, Meg Ryan writes him a letter and says how much she loved his voice, loved the story, blah, 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 and says, I think we're soulmates. Wouldn't it be fun to meet at the top of the Empire State Building on Valentine's Day, which again is only like a month later. We're talking about the new year now, right? Tom Hanks gets the letter and says, "No, this is crazy. This is crazy." But the son intercepts the letter and acts upon it, and sort of schemes to get these two together. And I'm not going to tell you the ending just in case you haven't seen it, but it does involve the Empire State Building. Hint, hint, hint. And it's just a romantic, fun movie. I remember when it did come out in the early 90s. It was the sleeper movie of that summer. And that was the summer Jurassic Park came out. Remember the original Jurassic Park? And everybody wanted to go see Jurassic Park. And I did. It was great. The dinosaurs. But, they marketed Sleepless in Seattle as the alternative. If you want a really good love story, and they really geared the movie toward women, they put the trailers on during special times of the day when they knew the audience would be mostly women, and they geared it toward romance, Valentine's Day. So that was the alternative to Jurassic Park that summer. And I do remember it. I remember how it got very positive reviews, and everybody wanted to see this movie, Sleepless in Seattle. Tom Hanks was a new star back then. He did a lot of comedies before that. But this was sort of a semi-serious role for Tom Hanks, which would lead him to other roles. In fact, Philadelphia. His role in Philadelphia came out. And then, although he did the other You've Got Mail with Nora Ephron and Meg Ryan, Tom Hanks was evolving into, he was sort of tired by this time. That early days of playing immature, goofy guys on the screen. So he wanted to become more of a serious actor. So after Sleepless in Seattle, which really cemented his status as a leading man, a romantic lead, who could play both drama, serious, sport, comedy. He started getting more serious roles, like The Green Mile, and Castaway, and there's so many, the Apollo 13, so many great Tom Hanks movies. Forrest Gump. Forrest Gump actually came out like the year after Sleepless in Seattle. So the movie came out on June 25th. It was originally supposed to come out in the spring of 1993. The producers decided to hold it back, release it at the start of the summertime, because they thought it could be a sleeper hit. So that's when they released it, even though they knew that they were going up against the big blockbusters of the summer, like Jurassic Park, you know. But they really had faith in this little movie, and they thought it could hold its own, and it did. Annie Reed was the character's name, Meg Rod. Annie Reed. She lived in Baltimore. She was a reporter in Baltimore, and she thought, because the only thing I love about the movie, she thought Brooks Robinson was the best third baseman ever in baseball. Of course, being from Baltimore, she would, because he was an Orange. Me, I think, and rightfully so, that Mike Schmidt was the best third baseman ever in baseball. It's, I guess it's like some people like chocolate, some people like vanilla. But you gotta give it to Mike Schmidt. All right, we're not gonna get in baseball. But, Sam Baldwin was the name of Tom Hanks' character. So this was a very interesting movie. It was written by a guy named Jeff Arch originally. And he tried to get the screenplay, sold to different studios. It was rejected. At least 5 or 6 times. He wrote it as a very serious, dramatic, romantic film. And there were some similarities to the final film that we see. There are some differences too. But what are the 2 reasons? 2 reasons why the studio kept rejecting it. One, when he kept pitching this movie around Hollywood, the studio said, number one, it's not funny enough. This is a romantic comedy. We need it to be more lighthearted. And 2, and a big part of it was the characters, the romantic characters, don't meet until the end of the movie. You think about that, right? Even the Sleepless in Seattle movie we see today, they don't actually meet to the end of the movie. And in the movies, that's a no-no. How are you supposed to know if your lead characters have chemistry if they're not together? So it really took some really good writing, really good screenplay to make this work, as it turned out to be. Arch eventually, he was in it with the project for a long time, but he started getting replaced. They got another writer to read. His name was David S. Ward. He actually wrote one of the most brilliant screenplays ever. Maybe my favorite screenplay of all time, The Sting. Remember The Sting with Paul Newman and Robert Redford and Robert Shaw, and that came out in the early 70s. I love that movie. And the movie is so intricate with twists and turns, and even at the end, you have a big surprise. So this David S. Ward got the assignment to rewrite Sleepless in Seattle, and he did. But when they pitched the movie again, it just wasn't good enough. So what was it missing? What was it missing? They came upon Nora Ephron. Originally, they asked Nora Ephron to rewrite the movie, and she wasn't doing anything at the time. And she said she read the script and thought, oh, this is pretty easy. I can have this done for you in less than 3 weeks. And she said, it's a pretty easy rewrite. Plus, I can pick up some extra money while I'm in between jobs. So they gave the script to Nora Ephron. She read it. She put it in cooperative humor. And they were so impressed with it that the studio asked Nora Ephron to direct it. Well, she at first didn't want to, but then she said, yeah, why not? And then that's when it came down to picking the actors. And that was very interesting too. A couple of things about the movie. A lot of, you watch this movie again, you see a lot of people you recognize, you know in this movie. Rob Reiner is in the movie. He played Tom Hanks's best friend in Seattle. Rosie O'Donnell's in it. She plays Meg Ryan's best friend in the movie. Bill Pullman. Bill Pullman is in the movie. You know Bill Pullman. He was in a lot of different movies, especially in the 90s. You know him if you see him. He played Meg Ryan's fiance in the movie. And Rita Wilson played Tom Hanks' sister in the movie. And what happened was Tom Hanks met Rita Wilson on the set of Sleepless in Seattle. This is like a real life love story. They're filming this love story, right? And they meet and they fall in love on the set of Sleepless in Seattle. And they end up getting married. And they're still married. They're still married. Rita Wilson is a fine singer. Right? She's put out albums. She does a lot of clubs, things like that. But at the time, she was an actress and a comedy actress. And that's how she met Tom Hanks. Now, get this. The movie was made for $21 million. $21 million. Back in 1993. That's more than what it is now, right? I mean, 21 billion is worth a lot more now. It was made for 21 billion. It made $227.9 million. A success. And then, of course, it went to DVD, and people loved the movie, and it's a beloved classic. It was nominated for 2 Oscars, best screenplay and best original song. It did it with either. And the ending where they meet, the 2 lovers meet at the top of the Empire State Building. Well, this was interesting because the person who owns, there's actually people who own buildings, and the person who owned the Empire State Building at the time was a lady named Leona Hemsley. Does that name ring a bell? Leona Hemsley. Well, it did to me. And Leona Hemsley, if you remember, was this, she ended up in jail. There was some sort of a scheme, like an investment scheme or something. Yeah, but she was sort of this nefarious lady back in the 90s anyway. She actually owned the Empire State Building. This thing was rich. And she was in jail at the time. And they went to her and they asked her for permission to use the Empire State Building to film parts of this movie. And she said, okay, but you only get 6 hours. Duh, 6 hours. So they actually couldn't do the climactic scene where Tom Hanks meets Meg Ryan on top of the Empire State Building, see each other for the first time, and then blah, blah. What they did was this. They did some of the scenes when she goes into the lobby of the Empire State Building and she's running to get there in time. And that's actually the lobby of the Empire State Building. They filmed the little kid who flies from Seattle to New York to meet his new mommy, Meg Ryan, because his dad thinks it's crazy. The little kid goes up to the top of the Empire State Building on Valentine's Day and hangs out there all day, hoping that he's going to bump into Annie Reed, Meg Ryan, and he doesn't. Well, that part, when the kid is up there, that's the real Empire State Building. But because they were only allowed to film there for 6 hours, what they did was, in Seattle, there was a Navy base. Seattle, at least at the time, didn't have big sound stages that Hollywood has. So because they were on location, they needed to build a replica of the top of the Empire State Building. Where could they do it? Seattle had a Navy base at the time that wasn't being used. They got permission from the government, Nora Ephron got permission from the government to use that Navy base as a Hollywood set. So they built the replica of the Empire State Building, the top observation deck. And that's where the Tom Hanks Meg Ryan meeting occurred. So there you go. A lot of the movie was filmed on location in Seattle. And during the planning of this movie, they considered not having it in Seattle, in which case they would have had to change the title of the movie, right? Why are you going to call it Sleepless in Seattle if you're in Minnesota? Whatever. Yeah. So they considered Vancouver, Canada. There was one draft that had Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan both living in New York City and agreeing to meet at the top of the Empire State Building. No. The producers in Nora Ephron thought it was a cool idea, as originally intended, to have them far apart and then bring them together at the end. So Seattle stuck. Glasses. Because Daddy can't read. Daddy is 118 years old. He needs reading glasses. All right, so we talked about 6 studios rejected the idea of Sleepless in Seattle. They just rejected it. They heard the premise and said, "Nah, this isn't going to work. This is going to work." So for all you writers out there, like myself, don't be discouraged. If you submit something that is rejected multiple times, don't give up. Because a movie, a classic like Sleepless in Seattle, was rejected countless times. It just needed to find the right home. And it did. It was rewritten like at least 10 times. This movie. And I think part of the problem was it was a complicated movie about how to get these two together. You know? I mean, first of all, you're battling the premise of these two characters who are falling in love are never seen together until the end of the movie. How do we get around that? You know? And again, they wanted to make the movie funnier than what it was originally. They wanted it to be a comedy, but not like this, like an airplane kind of comedy, you know, where you had gags every 5 seconds, you know. They wanted a little humor sprinkled in with the romance there. So it did take a while until they came up with the final script. But the Nora Ephron finished the script on March the 12th. It was very quick. Already they were scouting for locations in June, and they started filming in August of 1993. It didn't take long, and then the movie came out. Well, originally, Tom Hanks turned down the role of Sam Baldwin. He didn't like the script. He kind of liked the idea of these two characters falling in love. He didn't like the script. He thought it was not funny enough. And then he thought it was underwritten for him. Again, his mindset back in the early 90s was, I'm tired of playing all these goofy guys, like in Big, every movie Big, which was great. Splash, he was in that. But he was tired of doing that. He wanted to get away from that. He wanted to do something more serious. So Nora Ephron talked to him too and said, all right, this is perfect. You know, you're still going to have a little humor. I mean, Tom Hanks, you're funny guy. You're not going to get away with that. What are we talking about? You looking more to Olivier or something? Some hoity-toity actor. No, do what you do best. You're a funny guy. But we could make the movie a little more serious. We could beef it up for it. And I would say you have some drama in there too. So he eventually accepted. And the funny thing was that when Meg Ryan accepted the role. She thought that her husband at the time, who was Dennis Quaid, remember Dennis Quaid? He played in Great Balls of Fire, that movie about Jerry Lewis. She thought her husband at the time, Dennis Quaid, was going to play the opposite, the Tom Hanks role. And it was Nora Ephron who said, he's not funny. He's not so, I hate to tell you this, Meg Ryan, but he's not a funny guy. You know, he's not funny at all. So he was rejected. I tell you what, here are some of the other actresses. They always had Meg Ryan. They envisioned Meg Ryan play this role. Even the original screenwriter, Jeff Arch, who had this serious script, he wrote it for Meg Ryan. Everybody wanted Meg because she was this America's sweetheart. You know, she was in it with Harry Met Sally, and everybody loved. Well, she was kind of thinking about it. She wasn't totally sold on it. So until she said yes, here are some of the other actresses that they considered for the role in Simpson Seattle. Julia Roberts. Well, you know, she was a Pretty Woman. And then Kim Basinger. You know, to me, she's more sexy than she's comedy, you know. Michelle Pfeiffer was cute. Sharon Stone, Riley. Sharon Stone was from Basic Instinct, wasn't she? She's ever sit for across the face and everything. Jesus. And I don't think I'd like Sharon Stone because Sharon said she was the murderess. You would think of her being with Tom Hanks. Like, no, Tom Hanks, don't go up to the Empire State Building with her, she'll kill you. This is interesting. Jodie Foster. Well, you know, back then, Silence of the Lambs. But here's the thing. Could Jodie Foster do a comedic role like that? I don't know. Maybe that's why they didn't pick the heck. And then you had Debbie Moore. Well, of course, Debbie Moore had the iconic movie Ghost with Patrick Swayze, so she could do it. Comedy, I don't know about comedy. And the final one they considered was Madonna. Madonna, yes, the Material Girl. Well, you know, this was the old '90s. Madonna was still come hot, yeah. And Madonna, you know, Madonna did A League of Their Own. Remember that movie with the all-female baseball team? Tom Hanks was in that movie too. He was the baseball manager. And Nora Ephron wrote that movie too. She knew, with Gary Marshall, she knew Madonna. And Rosie O'Donnell back then was Madonna's best friend. Said it would all be like a little click in that movie, you know, of pals. But Madonna was rejected. So I'm kind of glad that they went with Meg. Did she was a wise choice. A couple more things before I end it. Houseboat. I always wanted to live on a houseboat. Did you ever think about that? Does anybody ever live on a houseboat anymore? Do you know of anybody who lives on a houseboat? I always thought that'd be kind of cool to be docked somewhere, let's say at Cape May, Atlantic City, and you're docked and you're actually living on the freaking boat. You know, you have everything there. You have your kitchen and your bathroom and a place where you bunk, you sleep and stuff. And yet you could go out in the water if you want, or you just, I don't know, there's just something about it. I just thought it was kind of cool to live on a houseboat. Well, you know, the character, Tom Hanks's character, lives on a houseboat out in Seattle. And I just thought, that's kind of cool. I'm thinking about it now. I don't know anybody that actually knows it. So I don't think they even use that in a TV series or a movie. Do that? But no, kind of hate. There was another thing, the dessert tiramisu, which is an Italian dessert. I should know it. I'm half Italian. Tiramisu is in the movie, and it's mentioned by Rob Reiner. And after the movie came out, this movie was so popular back in the day that sale of tiramisu, especially around the Seattle restaurants, skyrocketed. And everywhere around the country, tiramisu, people were asking for it. Do you have tiramisu? Do you have tiramisu? Well, now, if you go to any Italian restaurant, like we often do, you're going to find your tiramisu is one of them. You know, but at the time, early 90s, nobody really knew tiramisu. But the movie, Sleepless in Seattle, made tiramisu famous. And the last thing I want to say about this movie before I wrap it up, the color red. They were very, very picky, should I say, about introducing the color red in this movie. The first hour of the movie, you see the color sporadically placed here and there. And it's red supposed to be love and Valentine's, right? Oh. As the movie progresses, if you watch this movie again, you're going to see the color red become more and more prevalent as the movie goes on. And again, that's to indicate love. And Nora Ephron purposely tried to keep the color blue out of the movie. Why? Because she didn't like the color blue with the red, and she's not a big fan of the color blue anyway. Me, I love the color blue. It's my favorite color. Sky blue is my favorite color in the entire world. But it's something to keep in mind when you watch the movie. The color red. All right, here's what I think about the Sleepless in Seattle. My final words. I haven't watched this movie in a long time. I've been watching. Maybe we'll put this on tomorrow night for Valentine's. Yeah. To me, it's a classic. It's an instant classic. And when it came out that summer, people hailed it as a classic. They knew right away. You know, it sort of melts your heart. You know, it's like magic. It's like things like that. Even though a lot of people thought the premise was ridiculous. Yeah, how can you fall in love with this guy? It's just hearing his voice on the radio and not even meeting him. And but it's like it's magic. It's a movie. It's not necessarily supposed to make sense. You know, it's a movie. Relax, chill. But look at them there. Don't they look good? Ravished? Not ravished though. They haven't eaten in 6 weeks, but they look ready, right there, ready to do something, ready to, well, you know. That's there you go. Simple says, yeah, I think it's a good movie, and I'll watch it. I think it's funny, it's charming, and it gives you hope. It actually, you know what? This is probably the kind of movie we need now. With so much going on, so much craziness in the world. And in movies now, you got like Marvel movies, where you got people getting killed, action, violence, sex, whatever. You could probably use a movie, you know? That's an interesting question. If A Sleepless in Seattle came out now, would people go to see it? Would they be as in love with the movie as they were back in 1993? Or has our society changed? Our taste in movies has it changed so much that this would be a flop? Oh no! To me, I think everybody, love is forever. eternity, and love never dies. A good love story is going to be forever. And I think there would be an audience for this movie out there. I do think so. I agree. By the way, when I was doing some research about this movie, they said Meg Ryan. I don't know, you probably saw her in the Super Bowl. She was in that commercial with Billy Crystal at the deli from When Harry Met Sally, you know, and they were promoting mayonnaise. I thought it was a cute commercial. It was good to see both of them back together again. But I read that Meg Ryan, after this movie came out, has never watched it again. You believe that? I don't know why, but she never has. I don't know if I ever meet her, I'll say to her, instead of asking her questions like, what was John Cougar Mellencamp like? Or, you know, do you want to go out? So, and I'm married, I can't say that. Or things like, you know, anything you would ask Meg Ryan, anything. How was it being in the deli again, having a sandwich? I might end up asking her, why haven't you watched Citizen Seattle again? Why? What's your problem? And so, Meg Ryan, if you're out there, watch it again. Okay? It's a good movie and you were good in it. Give yourself credit, baby. Okay, well, everybody, have a nice, happy Valentine's Day tomorrow. Be good to your significant other. Be good to your mom. Be good to your pets. Hey, the pets are the unconditional love they give us, right? Valentine's Day for them too. And have fun watching the parade, or if you're going to be at the parade, have a lot of fun. Don't be safe. It's going to be cold out there. Like wind chills in the 20s, bundle up. And I have, you wouldn't miss this for the world. How often does Philadelphia have a championship? Right? Never, never. So anyway, have fun. I'll be back with Saturday and we'll talk some more smack. And play yourself some Robert Palmer. Watch yourself some Sleepless in Seattle. And have fun. Life is too short. Peace and love. See you Saturday. Bye-bye.